Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Pull Up with Limbs and Things. We're back live today with Miss Loretta Veney, and we are talking about gems for a caring parent, and we're talking about caregiving and how we cope with Legos. So tonight it's kind of a happy feeling for me because we're bringing together physical therapy and recreational therapy. And so a lot of times when I see patients and we set goals, we are looking to set the goal not only for the patient but for their family as well. So it's reducing their burden of care, trying to think about all of the ways physical therapy or better function for that person will ease some of the care for that person, but we also want to think about how the family is affected as a whole. And so tonight, that's what we'll talk about. So, welcome, Miss Veney. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. So, tell us a little bit about your experience caring for a parent.
Whew, yes. Well, my mom's name is Doris, and she was diagnosed with dementia in 2006. So this is year 15 for us, which is a long
Absolutely.
time. Yes, indeed, which is a long time for dementia. However,
Mhm.
she was pretty stable the first 6 or 7 years. So we didn't have a lot of stuff. And so that, certainly added to the ease into this disease, if there is a way to ease into this crazy disease.
Right.
But yeah, she was pretty stable for a while, and but it's been quite the journey. So I have definitely learned some gems, whew, over this journey. And I think the first gem would be,
Mhm.
I think you talk about, and we have to remember this is our parent, and
Yes.
so our
Yes.
parent was was just different than a spouse or a sibling, because our parent used to always tell us what to do, and now that role reversal, and some people do better than that than others, and so
That's
the
true.
two gems I say go hand in hand is really to be the best caregiver you can be for your parent is a remember all the stuff they did for you, but really forgiveness and patience. Those two things are the best gems I can give you. And forgiveness in the sense that there are going to be things, particularly with dementia. I mean, there are different things with any disease your parent may have,
Right.
but in dementia in particular, they'll say or do things that's so unlike them. The behavior changes, all kinds of things go on,
Yeah.
and so your mother or father would never have done whatever it was they just did, curse you out, throw things, whatever you like, and you just gotta, what did they just do or
Right.
say? And they accuse you of stealing the purse, or sleeping with the next door neighbor, all this stuff you haven't done. And so rather than argue back, because you're never going to win an argument with the person with dementia ever,
Ever.
so it's just forgive whatever they say. They might say they hate you. Role reversal is very difficult. So I think forgiving them for the things they may say or do, for things they certainly did in the past, which was one of the issues with my mom. I found out a big family secret, years down the road when she could no longer discuss it. So, and then you just have to let all that kind of stuff go. You
Mhm.
also have to forgive, stupid stuff other people do. So, doctors, all that, and I think that's one of the biggest things. And I think the thing that we are most interviewed about was about a doctor who was trying to, and her neurologist who was trying to, after her diagnosis, was trying to force her into, um, taking this drug. And when she didn't want to, he comes out with, well, that's what's wrong with you people. You don't want to do anything, just want to complain. And my mom is the least complaining person ever. So, we left, but
Yeah.
I did forgive you. And, just so all kinds of things like that. So the things that you know, deal with, you don't want to let them weigh you down, and because you don't know how long this journey is going to be. I never thought it would be 15 years, but
Mhm.
in order to prepare yourself, the more patience you exercise and the more forgiveness you are willing to dole out for whatever the situations are, the more successful you will be. And I think every parent could tell you when that role reversal actually happened.
Uh-huh.
And for us, it was in a McDonald's of all places. So, we in the line, and I'm trying to let her be as independent as possible. So the lady says, may I help you?
Mhm.
And my mother says, I'd like an apple pie. Now you go straight to the apple pie. Where's the food? So the lady looks at me as if for permission. And so I say, much like our parents said to us, you can have your apple pie, but you have to eat all your lunch first. And my mother looks so exasperated. And so the cashier bursts out laughing. And my mother looks right at the cashier and says, I used to be her mom, but now she's mine. And that was that. And so the whole book came about because of that.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, that cashier probably still laughs when she thinks about that. But they really do understand that transition well. But I never, disrespected her or anything. Part of my patience was making sure I explained everything why we're doing this. I'm not just trying to tell you what to do to make you feel bad.
Yeah.
Explaining why it was a safety issue when we had to move her, for example. So if you take the time and be patient, don't just because I said so, mama. Not gonna go real far with that.
No,
so so you may want to say that. But if you practice your patience, and we used to tell people in our support group, practice with a friend. If you're going to tell your mother today's the last day you're going to be driving, I'm taking the keys, mama or daddy.
I heard that one a lot.
Yes. So you practice with your friend, Dr. Chanel, and you be mama, and I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And I did that with people when it was time to move my mom, and she just cried and cried, and she was so upset. And she thought she had done something wrong. So as we're leaving her apartment, she says, please don't make me move. I'll be good, as if she had done. Yeah, it was horrific. But when you practice it, then you don't cry all the way through whatever it is you're trying to get through. And that does help. And that not only helps you with that situation, it helps you with your patience level going forward as well. And that's really what we want.
Yeah. So patience is key. Any other gems you have?
Yes, the preparation. I know that sounds hard and terrible, but it is so necessary. And I always say, prepare for everything, be ready for anything. Now, if we're all honest, none of us had ever prepared for COVID, ever.
No, not at all.
Never saw that coming. However, depending on how well you had prepared before COVID, like where all of the financial documents are, where all the medical doctors are, you've been through, the living will, who has power of attorney and all these kind of things. And, one of the things that we had done when my mom could still make decisions, she did pick the non-assisted living retirement community she lived in, and we all did it as a family, me and her and my sister, and we had a great old time doing that. But when they can no longer do that, hopefully you will have had some conversations with them. Go, the next time you go on a drive by some of these fancy retirement communities and think about some ones. But when you're selecting them and going on these wonderful tours that they do at these amazing places, whether they're assisted living or memory care or whatever you need, it's nice to pick one out. However, you also must make sure the finances go along with where you want to live, because that's not always the case. And so you want to be upfront and honest about that. There are all kinds of resources out there, a place for mom, and all kinds of things that can tell you about, payment. And so if you have limited income, you want to make sure you check to see if they accept the waiver program and other subsidies. So checking into all those things and being prepared while all of you can work on it together. And that's why I love talking to younger audiences, because when you're old as me, all this white hair, then hopefully you had that. But I was so oblivious. I thought my mom would live forever by herself, because my great grandmother lived by herself till she was 100. So when my mom was diagnosed at 77, to say we were not ready is the ultimate understatement. So you're running around trying to do all this stuff, and that doesn't do anything but stress you out. And caregivers need to be in the tip-top shape as possible. And so we really don't want to wait to the last minute to do so. So I tell my 30-something friends, and we have a lot of them in these support groups, please don't wait to the last minute to do these things. Yes, the conversations are difficult, but there are lots of websites, AARP, for example. Young people get on AARP, don't they do? But their caregiving section is fabulous, and they have conversation starters and all kinds of things to help you with that process of talking to your loved ones, your parents, whoever. So preparation, and then make sure you have a backup plan. In the middle of this 15 years, I lost my sister and only sibling and my husband, who did everything for my mother. And trust me when I tell you, I did not have a backup plan for Timothy, who thought my mother would outlive my husband. And so these things, they're horrible to think about, but think about who else could help you if the worst possible thing happens. And I just so happen to have one of the best church families possible. And they started a support group after my husband died. And they took on a lot of tasks my husband used to do for my mother. And I just lucked out in that way. But preparation will prevent you from running all around and doing those kinds of things.
Good. Okay. So forgiveness.
Forgiveness Patience
Preparation
and
and patience.
preparation. Yes, indeed.
Yes, I got it. Well, if you are with us and you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat. Oh, it looks like I have a few over here. If you are live, please hashtag live so we can see you.
Yay.
And if you are catching this on the replay, you can hashtag replay. So I think I have a few questions over here. If you haven't put your comment over there, please do.
Awesome.
Hi Brandon, hi Taryn. You're welcome. Let's see. Oh, you didn't talk about the Legos yet.
No, I
Are we
haven't
gonna
talked
talk
about
about
the
Legos?
Legos yet. Yes, indeed. So I'm known in sort of the Facebook, LinkedIn
Yes, you are.
areas as sort of the Lego lady, and I welcome that thing. And so the Lego story is fairly simple. My mother and I spent hours and hours playing with Legos when I was a kid, and by 2014, when she no longer remembered me, I wanted to maintain that great connection that we had. And believe it or not, she still remembered those Legos. And so we spent hours and hours, building and all of that. And one of the most interesting things happened that I had not expected. My mother was very quiet about her diagnosis. She didn't want to talk. My mother's very quiet, very un-Loretta like. We have totally different personalities. So she wouldn't talk about how she felt. I was very worried about whether she was going to be depressed and all that. But when I got off the Legos, she would talk. So we did the Legos a lot so I could understand what was going on up there. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, that was so helpful. And I even have the first house that she ever built. It has doors and windows that really open, and she was proud of it. Because if you know anything about dementia, one of the things is that they always say, I want to go home.
Yeah.
And so when she would do that, we would get out the Legos and build a house. And she thought she was really going somewhere. And she would open the door, and there's a little Lego person with white hair. She was like, I'm still in there. So yeah, she was fascinated. But we get
Yeah.
so many questions about the Legos. There are all kinds of pictures on my Facebook page with my mom with her Legos. And she's in hospice, but she's been in hospice since March. I was told she had days to live, but she's still here. So clearly she did not get the memo that she was dying. So we just keep going with the Legos and everything, and just she just loves it, and she gives me a lot of things. And so I use it not only to communicate with her, but it's also my stress reduction. So I do a lot of what I would call Lego art. So this piece I may always put a story about it. So this one is when you're on these a journey with someone with dementia, there's all kinds of twists and turns along the journey. And now, as I said, it's 15 years. But all the decisions you have to make on their behalf are never just black and white. And so that's what this one is. And so, loving the twists and turns as you go around. And so in this year's Alzheimer's Association, The Longest Day, which is their biggest fundraiser of the year, I did a project called Art Against Alzheimer's. And it was just all Lego things. I built 62 Lego things, had a big art exhibit, turned my bedroom into a gallery and had this whole Lego thing. And so, yeah, it was really cool. So it's raised a lot of money. It's raised a lot of awareness. And then because my mom enjoyed it so much, I've been going to a lot of virtually right now, but working with a lot of support groups and adult day programs that are closed, of course, and doing a lot of Legos with them. And so we've been building joy with Lego bricks, which is the coolest thing ever. So we've been building joy and hope to show people that they're not alone. And so I have people build what's been stealing their joy, how they're going to get their joy back post-COVID. And if I build something that represented, I'm looking to get back together with my friend, Dr. Chanel, and then I hold on to this, what I built during the session. And every time you walk by this, I want you to remember that that's how you're going to maintain your hope and your joy, and no matter COVID or whatever else is happening. And so they get to keep the Legos that I either mail out or however we do it. And then I hope it will always be a reminder of them that even though this is a terrible situation that we've been in for all these months, there's still hope and joy out there as well. So the Legos have gotten us through a lot of things over these, last many, many years.
That's awesome. So first, it started out as something that was a way for communication.
Yes.
But now it's kind of like a coping mechanism.
It absolutely is. On my worst days, you'll find me right out here in my little studio. I got a nice little studio out there with lights, cameras, and got the little white stage and everything. And I take a lot of pictures and I share them on Facebook and LinkedIn and sometimes Instagram, because I didn't realize how many people were paying attention to it. And so I was like, oh, there's like, where's the Lego thing for today? Like, oh, Let me just put it up. And so,
Yep.
yeah, so I am happy that I'm helping lots of other people in addition to my mom. And that was my mom's philosophy. When you find something that works well, don't keep it to yourself. And
Hmm.
so she was having so much fun with it that I was like, okay, other people might like it too. So I take so many pictures of everybody's faces with their little Lego thing. And they're just having a ball, and I'm sometimes I get really emotional about it because they
Yeah.
are so excited. And this one is a replica of us doing the visits with behind the glass, the
Oh
virtual when
goodness.
COVID
Yeah.
first started.
Hmm.
And so this got a zillion hits on LinkedIn. People are like, wow, that you can see her eyes and everything. So it was pretty neat. And
Exactly.
there was the caregiver standing there making sure we didn't come in. So
That
in
was
the group
perfect.
home where it was perfect. And so I try to capture the feelings of being a caregiver of a parent and how you feel being on the other side of that glass and not being able to see them. And it was trying for everybody. It was the 99 days we were separated. It was the longest we had ever been apart. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it was quite the thing. So I used a whole lot of Lego during those 99 days, trust me. And it really is a way for me to stay calm and stay engaged and come up with I wrote a whole presentation during the first part of COVID for engaging activities for every Alzheimer's stage because all of the adult daycare programs were closed, and so
Right.
people were
Right.
coming to me for information and what am I going to do with Mama all day? so, so I'm trying to get as many things out there as possible and help as many people as possible. So
Well, I think you're doing a great job thus far.
thank you so much.
Yeah. So, Brandon, I think that might have answered your question. Let me see
If
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 that.
it did if it didn't, one of the things I would say, Brandon, that's interesting is we don't know what's going on in their brain, but I think the bright colors and like some of the things I make for my mom when she couldn't build as well as she used to, I think make things that spin around and things, and they love watching the bright colors and because as their vision changes as dementia progresses, they lose some of their peripheral vision and all that. So the more color and all of that we can have with them, and it certainly allows them. And I teach something called Lego Serious Play, and it's teaching people to think with their hands. And so it is certainly connecting in their minds. And so you want all of those things to work together. But it's been amazing,
I
absolutely amazing.
agree. Because
Mm-hmm.
even when, from a PT perspective, the fine motor skills, the
Yep.
ability to have your brain turn on in a
Mm-hmm.
different area than you're thinking,
Yeah.
and then you're trying to also convey something with these
Yes.
Legos. You want to tell a story, just like you're
Mm-hmm.
mentioning, and all of that helps with continuing to be as uh, the best way I can think of it as insightful.
Yes, and that's a really great way because she hasn't known me since 2014. She just says, "Hi, you're here," or "It's her." Like, she has
Right.
no
You're
idea what my
familiar,
name
just
is
not exactly who you
or
are.
our relationship. But when you get them
Mhm.
Legos out, she's like, "Hey, the Lego." so, so yeah, and it's just that's all I really need. I mean, I'm okay. It does hurt in the beginning, especially, but it's been 7 years since she's known who I was. So I'm over it by now. I just like to see the smile. But
Right.
it is very interesting that yes, she is still very attached to the fact that the pieces fit together. And you never, she doesn't say much, but she has some trouble, fitting them together. And
Mhm.
the videos on Facebook and everything. And then she finally got it. And you heard the click, and she said, "It's on there now." And the people in Facebook were like, "Yeah." So that's she rarely says whole sentences.
Mhm.
Not to me.
Right.
We don't do it whole. She'll give you a couple of words, but she and I wasn't gonna help her. I let her do her thing, and so she's doing it. When it finally clicked, she was so proud of her little self, and we
Mhm.
cheer for her no matter what she does. It's awesome.
Right. That's still maintaining that independence that everybody wants.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh,
yes,
yeah.
she did it all by herself. Yeah, and she will tell you she did it by herself. Yes.
Hi, Ann. Good to have you. Let's see. Hi, Melissa.
Hey, Melissa.
Okay. Let's
Hi,
see.
Anne.
Let's
Anne
see.
is here. This is so cool.
Yeah. Hi, Octavia. Okay.
Hi, Octavia.
I'm going through all of the.
I know, right? I liked Brandon's question though, because it is. I mean, and then so much that you really don't know what they're thinking a lot of the time. So
Mhm.
it's and she can't tell you, but she just I guess is assuming she's having a good time, and that works for me.
Hey. So let's see. Hi, Miss Candace. Thank you for sharing. Will these Legos come handy to work with all dementia patients? Who and at what stage will it help?
So I would say you can use it at all stages, and these are the Duplos, the bigger ones. So I would say if you're gonna get some, you don't have to buy a whole lot. You can go to Target or Walmart and get one of what they call the classic sets. They come in a nice box that you can use over and over. It has a little lid and everything, a little Lego lid, and so it starts with like less than 100 pieces and they go all the way up to 1,000 pieces. You don't need all that. Get somewhere in between, but be very careful with the little teeny pieces or the pieces that come off. One of my neighbors helps me separate them if I'm going to a memory care people's place, because you don't want them to put anything in their mouth.
Right.
So anybody, any stages can do it. And Maria, I'm willing to help you do it too, and show you how to maybe get started, and so that they're not overwhelmed. I wouldn't give them more than 5 or 6 bricks at a time. Sometimes I pour out something like right in front of them and let them move them around and get comfortable with it, and without leaving the room, of course. And I do actually have a picture of my mother. I never thought she would do that, but she started to put one in her mouth, and I was like, see, this is why you do not turn your back for a minute while they're out there.
Right.
And so if they're in the late stages, I would say definitely go with the Duplos, Duplo. And then if they are, still able to comprehend, you can just use the smaller ones as well. So, but it really works for anybody. And there's no right or, that's the whole beauty of it. There's no right or wrong way to do anything. You just make sure they're enjoying themselves. Yeah.
Okay. There's another comment.
Mm-hmm.
Lego Player can help caregivers who are caring for loved ones to vent and release stress more than it helps the dementia patients themselves. Is that
so?
right?
For me, the answer to that is yes, for me. And so, but I think I've probably done in the last few years, and especially pre-COVID, I worked with a lot of adult day programs, and yeah, I probably had as much fun as them. But I also do a lot when I'm, doing the stress relief thing for myself, building art and all that kind of stuff. When I'm doing that, I'm also planning some of the things I want to do. So I'm also getting ready to do a program with the person with dementia and their caregiver. And so we're going to be building memories, and I want them to do it together, like a memory cafe. And so I'm going to have them build their favorite vacation, and then see what they can come up with together and tell their story. So maybe it will uncover some memories or things like that. So I'm building working on a lot of programs right now for them to do that. Their first house, or where they were born, or whatever it is, and see as a team what they can do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that'd be pretty
great
cool.
idea. Yeah. Is that a virtual offering one-on-one for people or in facilities?
So been doing some of that. Well, I've been doing the caregiver groups for Hopkins, and we're going to do the Dementia Cafe both with Johns Hopkins and some of their groups, but also Dementia Friendly America. I'm in the on the action team of North Prince George's County, and we're going to do it both in person and virtually in Greenbelt, and we're going to do a memory cafe for that as well.
That's great. I'm glad to see that you are taking this and sharing it with so many people, because
I am trying.
Yeah, I am trying. There are so many people who are caregivers who don't have the support, but who also could use an outlet like you described. And a lot of times we think the outlet is only a support group, but a support group that has activities that helps you relieve or release some of those experiences that you're having, that'll be even better.
I think that's so, and I do really want to say this, and the reason why I think that's important, there were in the groups that I have worked with virtually, when we, and Melissa can attest to a little of that, it can be a very emotional thing. When I asked people to build what had been stealing their joy, and they built that. One man built an upside down treadmill because he couldn't go to the gym, and other people built all kinds of, I can't go see grandma or walk around or whatever they were doing. And then when I asked them to break it apart and build something that brings you up, some people cried, and you could tell they had not thought about how stressed they were or how much of their joy had been stolen. And it was like, whoa. So I had to kind of take a pause and let people feel what they were feeling. But then when we got to the building, the positive joy thing, people got up and danced around. It was a lot more emotional than I actually had anticipated, but in a good way, because I think what people learned was that they didn't realize they had so much pent up in them.
Yeah.
This is, oh, my sister's watching my husband or whatever it is, and now this 2 hours is just for me. So
Hmm.
people just let loose, and this woman even said, I had no idea all of that I was holding all that in. It was, and just when you see the 3D thing that you built in your hand, and this is what has been stealing your joy, and you looking right at it like, wow, that's not what I anticipated. It was very impactful for sure.
I'm sure. Yeah. One more comment for you. I wonder, can Legos be helpful with people other than ailments? I guess of.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
I would say, yeah. I think, I've been to Lego headquarters a few times in Denmark, and they have a lot of programs in the UK and Central Europe where they're working with. They put a lot of money into autism, for example, and they have
Yeah.
a lot of autism programs for kids. And so, yeah, I think Legos can pretty much help with everything, but that's just something I've had lots of success with. But I think all it really takes is just a few little bricks and see what happens. And it might not be for everybody, but I think with COVID and how long, nobody knew how long we were really going to be um, inside. Borrow the neighbor's kid and have them bring over some Legos. And then I do some intergenerational work too with pre-K kids and then kids, the adults,
That's
seniors
good.
with Parkinson's. And so I work with a couple of programs where the kids and the adults work together. And at this point, people that I'm sure would let you borrow the kid, at this point, everybody's been in the house for a while. So here, you want to borrow my son? Yeah, you can have him. And then, we'll build some stuff and I'll send him back to you. So it's a lot of things I think we can do to make sure that everybody is releasing whatever pent up thing they may have. And I think it can work a lot of magic along with the other, gyms. Because I work through a lot of the path of forgiveness and all that. That's some of the self care I do. Is I'm thinking about who I need to forgive that did whatever. Like the PT person who tried to quit on my mom before her,
Oh.
term was up. I'm like, no, you are not going to quit on my mother. So I had to come home and build some Lego stuff because I was about to be mad. Yeah.
Uh-huh. I
So
understand.
rather than just going off and doing all kinds of things, that's my release outlet, and it works really well.
It sounds like it would be an awesome thing for someone to do in their home or virtually um, in a group. So let's see. Anne had a question. Can
I
older
see
adults,
her question.
families, and caregivers book you for a one-on-one session in their home? How would they go about doing that if possible? That's what I was just about to ask you.
Yeah, so my website is the best way, and me and you can talk. So yeah, I've actually done a couple of them. I'm getting ready to do something on September 17th for families, kind of a birthday thing, but they're bringing the person with dementia. They want to do a group thing. We want to do that
Nice.
in Baltimore. And so yeah, I'm starting to do quite a few of those. It can be one-on-one with the family. Now, I did have a group thing, and I'll tell you why that I'm willing to do that.
Hmm.
We had advertised one of the Johns Hopkins events, and it was just the care, just like for the caregiver. Well, one family bought 3 people, which was amazing. I'd never seen anybody do that. And grandma, who had dementia, she was there too. And so it was a 10-year-old, a 14-year-old, and their mother. And then grandma was sitting in the middle. And they just, stole the show. That 10-year-old, I asked them to build what the greatest challenge, caregiving challenge was. And the little girl had 2 people, 2 Lego people. And then she built a wall in the middle. And her greatest challenge was she was unable to find the right words to communicate with grandma. And so there was a wall up. Look at, how old are you?
Right.
10. She was 10. And so you build and just share your story. So she was there, and the teenager was able to say, and then at the end, we asked them to, how you're going to overcome those challenges. She took the wall down and she put the chairs really close together. And she said, I'm going to look right at grandma, and I know, she'll know I'm here. And, just move the wall and the chairs and be closer, move closer to her so she can really see you and hear you and all that. Wow. So that was a
Yeah.
lot for a 10-year-old kid to come up with. But that whole
Mhm.
family was absolutely fascinating. So it was amazing.
That sounds great. I remember
Mm-hmm.
that story. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Miss Canada. How can Lego help me with a group of people that I work with? What impact can it do for them? So, from my perspective, I'm a physical therapist that also has a
Mm-hmm.
recreational therapy background. And so I'm always looking to add an element of play into physical therapy. And so if I'm working with someone and they want to work with Legos, I have no problem. We can stand and do activities with their arms. I can have them move them to different locations. I can have them reach and pull it out, even the
Yeah.
fine motor skills of putting it together
Yep.
while they're standing to maintain their balance. There's so many ways that we can incorporate Legos or any type of activity into physical therapy so that it's
Very true.
fun and functional.
And I would Google 6 bricks. It is used a lot in the UK, especially. I'm studying that right now, and so
Uh-huh.
that's actually why I have these 6 bricks together. So it's exactly as you say. So if you stand up, they're doing dexterity. They're
Hmm.
doing it this way, and it's amazing the different things that they do. And I have a certified thing in the Lego Serious Play, as I mentioned, but there is also a certification in this 6 bricks too, and it was intended for little kids. And this woman in Copenhagen changed it over to make it work for the adults in adult day as well, and she's had a lot of success with it. I think she wrote a book, but I was on a Zoom thing with her about 3 months ago, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do that as well. So yeah, it's there are a lot of things out there. You can do. They clap with it and raise their arms and did all kind with one in each hand or two or three or whatever. But you can see how easy they are to hold, and they won't get frustrated. I mean, my mother's dexterity is still really good, so she doesn't like the big ones that much. She still likes the little ones, but every now and then, she'll do these. But I think what's cool about them is, so easy to see and then hold on to. So I think that's the biggest thing. And I just have 3 goals for my mom. I want her to be happy, calm, and comfortable. And so, if that's what the Lego bricks can do for her, then we just gonna keep doing it.
I
So,
love it.
mhm.
Thank you so much for joining us and
Thank
sharing your
you
tips for caregivers
all.
and all that you do with Legos. I hope that you continue to do it
You
and
know I will.
to help as many people as you can.
I will. This is the most fun. I can't believe this is, actually my job now. So this is the best thing ever. Who knew you could like play all day? But
Exactly.
if you see the smiles, I mean, that's just the biggest thing. Even when I visited Maria's group home, everybody's smiling. That's what you want. You want people to be happy and, safe and all that. And so as long as they can have fun in the process, that's all we really want.
That is so true. So
Mhm.
tell us how to find you if we want to keep in touch with you and see
Yes.
all the bricks that you're making every day.
so so I'm Loretta Woodward Veney on Facebook and Loretta Veney on LinkedIn. So I'm pretty much everywhere. And I'm Loretta Veney on Instagram too. I need to do better on Instagram, that's for sure. And then my website is lorettaveney.com. That's so easy. And you can email me from there as well.
Okay, thank you so much. And of course, if you have any physical therapy needs, you can see me as well at
Please
Limbs
see,
and Things.
please see Dr. Chanel. She's fabulous.
Thank you.
I'm
I
I'm
so
so
appreciate
appreciative.
having you.
Thank you so much
Yes.
for having me.
And thank you all for joining us. We hope that you
Yes.
have gained some information that you can share with someone else. It's confirmed something you know and it's challenged something you don't know.
Mhm.
Keep in touch with us. We'll be back again next Saturday. Have a
All
good
right.
evening. Bye.
Thank you all.